All right, what we got here? Was that it? Yes. Flip it. All right. Good morning. It's 5:30. Let's go ahead and get these Neuro Rep breaths in. Deep breathing. I'm going to count you in the descending manner of 3, 2, 1. And then you are going to inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. And then we will get this neuro party started. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, the amazing Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Today is day number 809 consecutive days for me going live, and we are talking about self-regulation. And the reason why is simple. As we know, I ask chat every doggone thing all day long. I'm sure I get my 1,000 searches in every month just because I am like, what about this? What about this? What about this? It's like having your own little walking library. Good morning, Daisy. And so here's the very long question that I asked chat. And I will go back and forth from a previous chat that we had to this one and reference that. And so as I read this this was kind of short because I get them really, really, really long. And I get neural clarity from asking chat this information. So I asked chat yesterday after the live chat. I just had a thought. Everything has a system of how it should operate. Government, schools, jobs, families, religious organizations, etc. Yet none of it operates as it's designed. Good morning, Jared. This is me talking to chat about self-regulation. And none of it operates as it was designed. You said people stayed in regulated systems so that they know what to do, yet they don't execute what's in the system. People don't do a good job at work. Families are not supportive. Governments don't run effectively, etc. So people are faking it. So why have the systems? Why do people enter into them if they aren't going to commit to using them as they were designed? Now, this comes from a previous conversation that I had with chat based upon social conformity theory. And why do people stay in regulated systems with my friend whose son is now a weight trainer with a baby and a baby mama that's shacked up, and they was Christians. So this is an extension of the information that I got from that chat. And so chat said, Dr. Donna, is a very clean thought. You just put your finger on a structural contradiction most people feel but never articulate. So let's look at this. And that's what we're going to do today. And we will also be doing 3 rounds of a Neuro Rep, but I have to give you this background information so you understand self-regulation. So people don't enter systems to operate them. They enter systems to avoid having to self-regulate. You said what? So you're not entering into a job system because you want to know how it operates. All the time when I'm referring to Frito-Lay, I talk about my 14, it was either 14 weeks or 16 weeks. I can't remember. That was a long ass time. 16 weeks because it was 4 months. So onboarding, you become a resource at Frito-Lay and they need this big ass binder. They talk about C.E. Doolin, Herman Lay. You got to work in every part of the organization from manufacturing all the way to doing an over-the-road driver trip with a driver somewhere, unload the trailer and the bins. And yeah, it's a long process. You got to understand financial reports and all of that. And every week you have to report out to the leadership team. Here's what I learned. Here's what I learned. They're having you do that so that you will be competent. So no matter where you're put in the organization, you have a foundation of how the organization works. That's why I refer to so many things. I know the Opti sorter ejects all of the potato chips that are dark. That's not burnt. That's too much sugar in a potato, and it will eject all of those out. So if you, in the event, get one of those chips in your bag, the Opti sorter was not set at optimal conditions. So that part. So I learned about the back seal, the in seal, went to the warehouse, learned all about that, went to traffic, went to sales op, and I learned all about that process because I wasn't just at the organization for containment. I wasn't in the system just to be in the system. That's not what was taking place. So you enter into a system to avoid self-regulation. Good morning, Regina. You enter into a system to avoid self-regulation. And we're going to unpack this. So systems were designed assuming that adults were already regulated. Now, most participants are unregulated adults using this system as an emotional cover. This is why I go to church. This is why I go to this organization. This is why I volunteer over here. So you're using it as a cover. So the systems exist. The functioning brain required to run it does not. So systems were built believing that somehow you were regulated, and you entered into those systems believing that those systems were going to regulate you. But the system thought you was already regulated. So see how that don't work? So you think, parents think, especially where we live, I'm going to send my child to private school because private school is better. The student to teacher ratio is 1 to 15. They got tablets and they got all these computers and they have a student union and they have all these systematic things. And then parents send their dysregulated ass kids to a system that believes that these rich folks sent regulated kids to the system, and then it doesn't work. Then the bad rich kids get kicked out and go to a different public school or different private school until they just keep getting kicked out of schools. So it doesn't work. So now they get these kids after they've spent anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 a year on these schools. And then the kid comes back home and they're like, why are you still acting like that? I sent you to this damn school. They're supposed to fix all this. And the schools are like, why your kids still act like that? Why you didn't send a regulated kid to our school so we could teach them? So you see how this works? So it's not any self-regulation. So everybody thinks we did a good job. We moved to a good neighborhood and we sent our kids to school and we gave them everything. And these inanimate objects were somehow supposed to self-regulate the person. That's why people send badass people to the military. And I say all the time, this ain't Harry Potter's magic school. We ain't fucking magicians. If you sent the crook to the army, they still gonna be a crook. You sent the hustler, they just gonna be shooting dice in the barracks. The system only works when everybody is regulated. So you think the system is gonna fix it. The system think you already fixed it before you got here. And that's why you at the job like, that shit don't work. Why they hire them? That ain't gonna work. And you're confused. So why systems exist at all? Here is the original design. Every system that I named is designed to do three things. Reduce cognitive load. That's what the system is supposed to do. You go to school, you're supposed to reduce the cognitive load. So here's what to do next. Go to kindergarten, you go to elementary school, middle school, high school, and some people go off to college. It's supposed to create predictability. If you do X, Y happens. If I go to this job, it's already systematized with standing operating procedures. So I go there, I do the job that I was hired to do, I get my paycheck, I go home. Well, paycheck's probably direct deposit by now. But you get there and the machine's broke. You get there, 7 people called off. You get there, somebody just got fired and everybody's mad. You get there and you find out that there was a merger and acquisitions and your whole department no longer exists anymore. Hold up. I thought y'all said I get hired and I can stay here till I retire and then I leave. And then it allows for coordination among strangers. We don't need to trust each other's personally because we work together. This is my work buddy. So in other words, systems are scaffolding for adults and their brains. And they were never meant to replace regulation, only to support it. So if you never had the regulation that you needed to develop and you go into a job, if you go into an adult system, the military, politics, and everything else, you taking your dysregulated ass to that system. And that system is there in theory to improve what's already there. but it was never there. So that's why you have people at the job complaining, standing there saying, why they do that? Why they promote them? That ain't gonna work. That don't make no sense. I thought they was a leader. You had all that going on. Then you go to a religious organization. This don't make no damn sense. Then you send your kids to a school organization, educational environment, and it's not making sense because nobody realized you got to be self-regulated for those systems to work. Driving works when everybody on the road follows the rules of the road. When do accidents happen? When somebody didn't follow the rule of the road. Somebody turned when they were supposed to wait. Somebody sped when they were supposed to go slow under less than optimal road conditions. That's how it happened. Some dysregulated event took place in a dysregulated person, in a system that's supposed to work. It doesn't because of dysregulation. So here's where it breaks down, the real reason. Most adults never build internal regulation. It never got built. It never got built. You are not self-regulated. It didn't get built. So now they repurpose systems for something else. What is that? Glad you asked, Lola. What systems are actually used for now? They were scaffolding. Here I am, a regulated person. I'm walking in Frito-Lay, and it's just teaching me how to take finished goods and turn them into raw materials and turn them into finished goods and sell them in the marketplace. That's why I got basic total recall of how that manufacturing system works. Food and beverage. I can tell you, this is how it works. I can look and say, okay, this person, they didn't have fleet wash. That truck came off a Dove bid. I got that. Because I went into there in those systems saying, what can I learn? I'm already me. What can I build upon in this scaffold system? So here is where it breaks down. Most adults never built, as I mentioned, internal regulation. So they repurpose the system, and here are the systems as we know them to be today. Identity camouflage. I'm a good employee. I'm a good spouse. I'm a good citizen because I'm in the system. I go to church every Sunday and Bible study on Wednesdays. Do what? And this is Haritaki. I just need a cocktail. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. Gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins, but it ain't the baddest one. Let me go ahead and eat my stuff. Being in the system is identity camouflage. I read my Bible every day. Every day. Okay. You got 13 bastard ass grandchildren. But all right, let the church say amen. Okay. Responsibility diffusion. I follow the rules. Don't blame me. I follow procedures. Don't blame me. It's the system's fault. Emotional outsourcing. The job, the marriage, the church, the government will tell me who I am. You are a private citizen. You are a Republican. You are a liberal. You are a Democrat. You are an hourly employee. They called us resources at Frito-Lay, staff members, team members. It's telling you who you is because you ain't self-regulated. So you letting the system tell you who you are. And then safety without accountability. I belong, but I don't have to perform. I'm here just enough to do my job and not get fired. I'm doing just enough to get my paycheck every other week or every Friday, payday. That's what I'm doing. You are not operating the system. You hiding inside of it. You hiding inside of it. I've been doing my job for 30 years. You sure you've been hiding in the system for 30 years? You've been, it'll take 30 years to do shit, but in theory, pay off a mortgage. Why you been doing the same job for 30 years? The same exact job. You hiding inside of a system. You ain't self-regulated. You just in a system that's kind of dysregulated with a little bit of regulation spilt on top of it. It's just a building that you walk in and walk back out of. You ain't employee of the month. You ain't disrupted the system. You didn't contribute to the system. You're not an exemplary employee. Not at all. You're not the teacher trainer when the student teachers come in. They don't come to you and say, hey, can you help them? You're not the manager trainer. When new people come, they send them to you. Nah, you're just over there biding your time in one system to get out the next system. You're in the work system so you can get into the retirement system. So why people enter systems and they won't commit fully to the system? I'm glad you asked, Regina. Because systems promise something seductive. You don't have to become someone, just stay inside the structure. You do your onboarding training at the job. They don't say all of y'all can be employee of the month. They don't say that. They don't say here's how you can progress through the organization. They say here are your daily job functions. When you go to school, they don't say everybody can be on the honor roll. No, 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 no. Only the kids in the honor classes can be on the honor roll. You're not in that class. So just come here and get your grades. Just come here and get your grades. So this works only if no one notices the gap. So people fake competence, effort, loyalty, morality, and leadership, and the system quietly rots because it's fake as a $4 bill with your face on it. Good morning. Hi. I had a great weekend. How about you? They leave. Motherfucker know they ain't do shit on the weekend. Start talking shit about them before they get to their cubicle. That part is fake as hell in work environments. Nothing real happening in a work environment. It's fake as hell in church. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Get in the parking lot. You know what she said. Family. Wait for the family member to leave. You know they just one paycheck away from getting them lights cut off. It ain't even real. But it's there so that you can structurally say, I'm a sibling, I'm a spouse, I am a parent, I have grandchildren, and that's it. It's just a title. You're not a good grandparent. You're not a good spouse. You're not a good sibling. You just have the title, the structural title. We are a family on paper. There's no self-regulation in that. And why does this system feel safe to people? Because, and Chad told me this, you said something crucial earlier. People stay in regulated systems so they know what to do. You go into the job, you go into an organization, you walk into a restaurant, you know you walk up, you look at the menu, and you say what you want. You might modify your order or not. So here is the missing layer. You like knowing what to do, not doing it. You like knowing what to do because the brain likes predictability, but you're not going to do it. Not consistently. You like knowing, I'm going to drop these kids off at school. And then they come home and they got a project that uses parents. You're not going to do that. You're going to say, do that shit yourself. I'm tired. I went to work all day and did nothing at work. You're not going to do that. You want your child to be in a higher education system, but you won't become the person that is a parent of a higher educated child. Yeah, they go to magnet school. How many projects did you do with them? How many times did you read to them? How many times did you reread and read an essay again and again to make sure that they got the best grade? That part. How many times did they say, I got a new job? Did you say, hey, what's going on with the job? What you doing? What you prefer? Let's walk through what your descriptions are. Who the highest person at your position? All right, cool. We about to take them out. You're going to be the best employee by the end of the year. That part. That part didn't happen because you put them in the system and the system was supposed to take care of that. That part. So you're not doing your part. I had to do a lot to get Nola through homeschool. She was an honor student who did the 11th and 12th grade together. From 2019 and 2020, she has 640 fucking assignments because she graduated from high school a year early with a weighted 4.0 GPA. Her easiest non-honors class was physics. You know, the physics that I never took when I was in school because I was a business administration major. That part. She was number 17 out of a class of 201, and only 11 of the 217 people or 201 students graduated with an honors diploma, and she was one of them. That's a lot of work. That's not the system at that point. That's a lot of day in and day out. Okay, let me see that. Let me see that. Get that. You book me. You do this paper. I was her PE teacher at one point. We got to go outside and run and walk, do basketball and write it down. Driver's training teacher. That part. So You like knowing what to do, but you're not doing it. You're not doing it. And so the execution of being in a system of regulation requires effort, discomfort, self-monitoring, and consequence tolerance. When she was in the 10th grade and it was 5 weeks left in the school year and she showed me her grades, she had 4 F's, a D, and an A with 5 weeks left in the school year with these honors ass classes in the 10th grade. And I'm like, what in the fuck? But within 8 days, she was caught up on everything and then managed to graduate with a 4.0 the next year on the way to GPA. Why? Because I am self-regulated. Because homeschool, that system in and of itself wasn't going to, I said, your ass supposed to be finishing school early and you gonna graduate with the rest of the people fucking fell in the 10th grade. Fix this shit. 18 missing chemistry assignments. That part. So I had to regroup for the next year. So I'm like, if you fucking up with 1 grade, we need a whole new system to put 2 grades together or this ain't gonna work. But most brains stop at knowing. I know the system. I know what I'm supposed to do. Then why the fuck you ain't doing it then? If you know you're supposed to be at work on time, why you not showing up at work on time? If you know what it takes to get promoted and you need more money or you want to grow in the company, why you ain't doing the work to get it done? If you choose to worship a higher power and be in some type of religion, why you ain't doing everything that it says do every day, all the time, and you chose to be in that structured system? You just phoning it in because of a lack of self-regulation. And so you being in the system, I'm a Christian, and I'm saying that because I believe in God, and then it ends there. And so that's supposed to mean all these other things that system means. I'm a manager at my job. You sure you managing at your job or you just got the title? Can you problem solve? If it's time to terminate the employee that's fucking up, do you have the kahunas to do that? That part. So why systems don't collapse immediately? Because systems are kept alive. Wait for it, because you might be this person that's keeping the system alive by a small minority. 10 to 20% doing the actual work. That go-to employee, the go-to manager, the go-to principal, the go-to teacher, the go-to contractor. That person. Daisy, that's you at your job in case you was confused. And 80 to 90% are consuming the protection and credibility. So this is true for jobs, for families, for schools, for governments, for religious organizations, and any other system that survives. But it never functions at design capacity. I have a whole video about the 70%. 70% is enough so that the organization will not implode. But it's not enough to be extraordinary. And when organizations go bankrupt, when businesses close and everything else, is because everybody there wasn't doing their part. They were in the system, but they weren't high functioning. They were just there. I'm here, and that's enough. And it isn't. Good enough never is. So the uncomfortable answer to my why have them question, which is what I originally asked, is that systems still matter because they expose who can self-regulate. At your job, just see who can self-regulate. And it's going to be 10 to 20% of the people. And everybody else is just float on. And then the bottom 10%, they got to go. So they reveal who is faking. Who is faking it in a marriage? Who is faking it parenting? Who is faking it in the friend group? Who is faking it at every organization that you go to that has structure? Who is faking it? Is very obvious. And it amplifies competence when it exits. When the good employees leave, shit goes left. Right now, the millennials are sitting in mid-level management positions. How do I know that? Because the supply chain is fucked up at every company. Customer service sucks because that is not their strong suit. They are good at technology and saying, I want a lot of money for my job. But problem solving in day-to-day operations, that's why things are taken. And I know the snowstorm, but I ain't talking about the snowstorm. I'm talking about in general. Service at restaurants and everything else, because they are in the system and they are saying, I didn't read the rule book, but right now, this is all I can do for you. You used to be able to get refunds. You used to be able to get better customer service. I'm sorry, this happened to you. Here's what we're going to do. And now you got to basically twist their arm to get your money back from some shit they fucked up. Because they are just in these systems, existing, thinking that that's enough. And it's not. Not at all. So you cannot create regulation. That's why my work is disruptive. Chad said it, not me. I'm not offering a better system. I'm teaching the brain required to operate in any system because that's what I've been able to do. In any system. I can talk to you about parenting. I can talk to you about dating. I can talk to you about being single. I can talk to you about having a family relationship, a better relationship with parents and adult children, because I'm saying here is the system and the brain neural pathways needed to function at a high level in that system. So be well, Nola. Most people ask, how do I succeed inside the system? And what I'm saying is, what kind of brain is required to make any system work? Any system work. So systems fail not because they are bad, but because they are filled with adults who never became operational. That part. That's why systems fail. And I had a different conversation with Chat because of the neurobiology class that I have. And here is what's taking place. You can no longer afford to not know how your brain works. I'm going to say that again. You can't afford neurologically to do it. And people are saying, AI is taking over. AI is taking over. AI is not taking over. Your brain needs to become more high functioning. We live in a prefrontal cortex dominated world right now. And if you have a weak prefrontal cortex, you are not high functioning. You need your brain. Before, you used to write your checks, put it in the mail, and the bills got paid. Now you got to do online systems. You might sign up for auto pay or you doing it yourself. Before, you used to have your check register, you minus the 7, carry the 1, do all of that. And now you're getting alerts. Now you got to have identity protection. Now you got to have different passwords with all this. You got to have a character and a number and a capital letter and all of that. Everywhere you go, there's a touch screen to do this. You're online, you get a doctor's appointment. Before, you used to fill out the paperwork there. Some doctor's office still have it. Sometimes they hand you a tablet, especially at urgent care. Now you got to log in. Now they're sending you alerts to your phone. Here comes Amazon delivering something, DHL. The Ring camera is telling you to do this. You're talking to Alexa. You got to see the grands on Facebook and everything else. When did you strengthen your brain to do all this? Cars. Nola's car does every fucking thing now. The car don't even have a key no more. And that other one didn't either. I mean, we've been keyless entry for a minute. Automatic start, heated seat, a heating steering wheel, heated seats, cool seats, all this stuff, 360 cameras and everything else. And the brain is sitting on weak. You cannot live like you were living 15 years ago. It's impossible. I told y'all when I had my last, because I get sinusitis that it flares up at least twice a year. I got to go to urgent care. And it was an older woman in her 80s just trying to check in on the iPad so she could see what was wrong with her. I had to help her register what was taking place. And she said it wasn't going to matter. If she went to her doctor, they were still going to tell her you got to register online and fill out your paperwork online before you get there. So your brain ain't working. Your brain ain't braining. It ain't regulated. And you need it to operate in everyday life. Before you could go in the system, back in the day, you just get your one job, you stay at that job, you retire, you get your gold watch, you sit at home for a couple years and you die. And that's not the case. You got to talk to the TV. You got to, even if you got we got Cox cable here, they got to come. Now you got to program TV. If you got streaming, you want apps and all of that, you're talking to the remote and everything else. So you need your brain. Go ahead, Lola. That part. So you cannot afford to not be neurologically strong right now. You cannot afford to just go into a system and hope. You know, they got these kids with these Chromebooks and all this stuff. We didn't have all that when we was in school. Okay, so what, you're not going to help your kid or your grandkid learn now? You're not going to strengthen your you're not going to regulate yourself in order to be in the world that we currently live in now? Because it's too hard? Because you are accustomed to just being in the system, but not managing the system and mastering the system. That's what's going to take place. If you go pick and choose, that takes too much mental effort. I just have my kids do that part. I just have my kid. Okay, cool. What if you can't get in touch with them? Then what you gonna do? Then what's gonna happen? It's not enough to be in the system. It's not, because the system is expecting you to be regulated, and you're not, because you didn't self-regulate. You didn't find out how your brain functions so you could be high functioning. That's not what took place. And now you're sitting somewhere, and now you want to blame a system. What they didn't teach me. I will tell you this. At no point in my life that I can recall, and it could be a memory buried and I don't have it, did anybody tell me I could be extraordinary. I don't have one memory of somebody saying, I see greatness in you, Dee Dee. You're going to be a bad motherfucker. And let me walk you through this process of bad motherfuckingness. Not one time. Not one time. I got somewhere and I was like, okay, cool. I trained myself to master a system and move on, because I thought that's what everybody was doing. I didn't know until I saw my friend from back in the military that people were staying in systems and then exiting systems when the system said it's time for you to go. That's a different chat that I had that's extended down here. So this is what happens. You get into a system. Your kids are 5, 6 years old. It's time to go to school in America. There you go. They get to the 5th grade. It's time to leave elementary school and exit that system and go to middle school. You stay in middle school or intermediate school 2 to 3 years, and now it's time for you to go to high school. And after high school, you either going to college, going in the military, or you're going in the workforce, or some people start a business. That's another system. If you're going to workforce, then you're there until they downsize, right size, outside, whatever's inside, get rid of you, or you retire. Then you enter into another system called lazy boyitis. You just in a chair, couchapalooza. And then you enter at 65, they put you in Medicare, and now you got a bunch of doctor's appointments, and that's it. Then you die. That's your life. That's why you got to read the 100 Years Life book, so you can understand that that's no brainer. So these systems tell you when to leave. Now, if you leave the system early, in my case, marriage, in my case, the military, why you leaving? You doing good. Y'all ain't kicking me out. I'm leaving on my own terms. Frito Lay, I'm done. I've mastered what y'all talking about. I've mastered what y'all talking about. Done. I'm moving on. That's what's taking place. Master the system and move on. But you're being contained in it, and I'm completing it. And that's what real leaders do. Complete the system and move on. There's nothing left for me here. I don't see any more growth opportunities neurologically for me, so I'm going to exit this system. So if you have been in your systems and you're not growing, which is why I left the church, because I'm like, we just keep talking about babes in Christ. Yesterday, we was on our way to an appointment, Pastor Lutheran church, and the sign on the outside said, our mission is for people to know who Jesus is. And I said, in this neighborhood, people don't know who Jesus is yet? That's y'all marketing to get people in the churches to know? We got the internet. You could Google it. You could chat it. Chat gonna give you a whole story about that's what y'all saying in 2026. That's y'all New Year mantra to get butts in the pews. That's why I left. We still talking about this? We still talking about this. I'm out. Because when you are mastering a system, you can't stay inside of it. You can't. But if you're just there for containment instead of completion, you can sit there for years and not even realize it, because all you're saying is, I'm an employee at this organization. I'm a small business owner over here. I believe in this. This is my family. And the containment, the title in that contained system is enough for you. And that's why you're stuck. And that's why you keep getting the computer screens in 2026 and you can't do this and you don't know how to do this. And why is everything so fast? And why is everything moving? And AI is taking over everything else. You are neurologically uneducated and behind. You are. And there isn't anything else other than what I'm saying that's going to catch you up. Nothing else. You're going to get left behind. And then potentially the A's and the B's might have more neural clarity, but not you, because you're being contained in the system. You never even assessed if you still wanted to be in the system. You didn't even say, wait, I'm not making no progress in this system. What in the hell? You didn't look around to see what the system was doing to you. I will say, if you are overweight, the system is ensuring that you stay stuck, fat, and happy. The system isn't saying be healthy, because a healthy brain thinks different. We went to go watch the first part of the CFP game at a local casino where the seniors go. And every commercial that came on was either selling you some shit or telling you to eat Wendy's and telling you to eat pizza, while you watch a group of people in the best shape of their lives go at each other. And you sitting here and drinking and eating at the as a cocktail waitress comes to bring you drinks and everything, and it ain't even registering. Your ass is sitting down consuming 5,000 calories watching people in the best shape of their life. Comfort food for you. They not eating comfort food. They know where in the hell they're in that shape. Eating pizza and burgers. They got cryotherapy and health and all aftercare and all this other stuff and all these lean diets, and some of them are vegetarians and everything else. And you shoveling in fucking double cheeseburgers from Wendy's watching them. That ain't a system you need to be in. So we're going to go ahead and do our Neuro Reps today. This is adult brain training. Today we're doing daily personal accountability with neuroscience. And so daily personal accountability is self-regulation. That's why hold yourself and others personally accountable is the number one principle of real leadership. So systems don't fail because the rules are unclear. They fail because adults outsource regulation and hide inside of structure. I'm not going to raise my children. I'm going to send them to private school. My children are bad because I didn't teach them to be disciplined, so I'm going to send them to a military academy or the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. That's what I'm going to do. I am stupid, and so instead of becoming smart, I'm going to send my children to tutoring. They got your dumbass DNA. You need to fix that shit. That part. I want them to get in a good school, but I don't feel like preparing them for test prep, so I'm going to send them to one of these test prep centers to do that part. I don't want to teach them how to drive because I'm a bad driver, so I'm going to pay for them to go to driver school. I don't manage my money well, so they're just going to be financially illiterate until they realize they got to fix their own credit score. I'm not going to take care of myself and be healthy. And when I become an older person and I need support, they just going to have to figure out how to lift my big ass up and put me on the toilet. That part. So here are the rules for today. I'm not trying to fix anyone today because that's not my responsibility. That's your responsibility. You have 86 billion neurons too, so you need to start using them. But this workout today is about what you do when no one else is watching. Personal accountability, being personally accountable and responsible for all that you do and all that you fail to do on the daily basis. And I've been neglecting my thirst. So for the first time this morning, drink water. All right. If you're ready for round one, go ahead and say I'm ready. I'm going to say that again. Okay, got it. I suppose you're the only one that's ready today, Nola. Okay, let's move on. So where in your life, and this is the see the gap. I got it, Monique, in California Street Rock Trucking 33. That's a long username. Okay. Where in your life do you know exactly what to do, but do not consistently execute it? Where in your life do you know exactly what to do, but do not consistently execute it? Is it work? Is it health? Is it parenting? Is it communication? Is it financing? Is it something else? And don't justify it. Don't explain it. Just put it in the chat. Where in your life do you know exactly what to do? Daisy said, I'm ready. But do not consistently execute it. Where in your life? Monique said finances. Where in your life do you know exactly what to do, but you do not consistently execute it? Jared, I got to rewind a little. Rewind what, Jared? We're talking about self-regulation, and I'm only on round 1. And it's where in your life do you know exactly what to do, but do not consistently execute it? And Ariane P, I procrastinate a lot. I don't know why. I always be like, fuck it, I'll do it next week. And then California Street Rock Trucking 33, dieting, financing, and parenting. What kind of trucking business is that? NOLA, making playlists, members only. Got it. I found myself not self-regulating for this new neuroscience class because this person is a dieting, Jared got. She's a very good instructor. And so what happens is this course is 10 modules and she had like, I don't know, 15, 20 lessons in each one. I'm projected to finish by the end of March. Jared said parenting, but I can only do 3 modules at a time. So I have to self-regulate myself because she's so good. If the lesson is 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, it's triple the amount of time because I'm learning neurobiology, which I don't have a foundation for. And so I feel incompetent when she's talking because it takes me 2 to 3 times the amount of time. And I'm beating myself up saying, I should be able to learn. I should already know this. And then I have to remind myself, when did you take neurobiology? Local port work. Are you a tractor trailer or are you using bulk? I used to run a traffic center for Frito-Lay. That's why I'm asking you. Bulk 24 or tractor trailer, OTR. So that part. So that's what I'm having to contend with right now to regulate myself because this class is the hardest class. And I know I took some hard ones, but this shit right here is hard as hell. So that part. So the neural framing that you have is that the gap is not a motivation problem. The gap is a regulation problem. So to the person that said, I'm procrastinating, do it now. Procrastination is the enemy is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And you are avoiding it because of the effort that you believe that it will take. And that is the problem. So you are thinking this is going to take longer. I don't feel like doing this. So your effort projection is basically what you're doing. So knowing lives in the cortex. Execution requires regulation. So you know what to do. But in order to get that done, you need to be regulated. So I have to, in order to finish this class on time, I have to finish a module a week. And then based upon how many lessons are in that module, I need to break it up so that each day I'm doing, just like I used to do reading a book a week, I got to go back to that strategy in order to get this done on time because it is a lot of information. Okay, tractor trailer, got it. Roger that. Yeah, I was a traffic manager over the OTR drivers and Frito-Lay in Orlando, Florida. So I had 120 drivers, full-time, part-time, and temp drivers. And we ran teams. We had 14 tractors and then doubles on the turnpike because I was in Florida. And then we did all of our normal runs from Florida up almost to South Carolina and back. So I did that for 2.5 years. So DOT certified, going around doing all the DOT certifications for the traffic center. I took traffic center from 29 at 29 in the company to first in the company in less than 2 years. That part. Okay, that's it. Regulation is the key. Yes, sir. Okay, round 2. So we're going to remove the system, internal control. So if no system existed at all, no job title, no relationship label, no rules, no external pressure, would your behaviors stay the same? So scaffolding and infrastructure gone. Like I don't really have an infrastructure. I'm the one that said get up at 3 o'clock, do these lives this way. So I already know my answer. Side note, I'm still looking for those 100-Year Life and Chasing Skinny Rabbit books. Are you serious? They're not out no more? You found the magic power of emotional appeal and those 2 books aren't there. That's peculiar. That's unfortunate. You found 100 Years Life. That book is, I know you did it digitally, but that thing ain't even in print. Okay. So if no system existed, no job title, no relationship label, no rules, no external pressure, would your behavior stay the same? No infrastructure, no job title to go to. You're not an employee, not a manager. You're not a parent, a spouse, a mom, a dad, a sibling, an auntie, an uncle. Would you behave the same? That means no guardrails, no infrastructure, no scaffolding. Yes or no? Would you do the right thing? Always do the right thing. And be honest is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. I don't see any thinking emojis or brains or ellipses. Is the chat still active? California Street Rock Trucking 33 said no. No was thinking. Jared is thinking. And how you feel about that, California Street Rock Trucking 33? You said no. Anything else show up for you? The question is, Nola, if no system existed, no job title, no relationship labels, no rules, no external... Okay. If no system existed, no job title, no relationship labels, no rules, no external pressures, would your behavior stay the same? If you didn't have any infrastructure, no scaffolding or anything, would your behavior stay the same? So no systems. And California Street Rock Trucking 33 said no. Nola and Jared are still thinking. No. Jared said no. Probably not. With my mental illnesses, the systems are keeping me regulated. Okay? Monique is thinking. No. That was quick. They both popped up behind each other. Okay. So that's the difference between external compliance and internal personal accountability. Yes and no, but it wouldn't affect me. Okay, Ariane P. But you just said you procrastinate. Didn't you just say you're a procrastinator? That might be a little cognitive dissonance over there if you are a procrastinator. Yes and no. You got to pick one. The answer is yes or no. It's not and, it's or. You would completely or you wouldn't at all. If I had no work, I'd have more time to spend on myself and family. Okay. I'm gonna let you have that one based upon time. So regulated adults do not need a system to perform. So Nola, not the systems that I gave you that you implement, but the infrastructural systems that exist. So a job, a religious organization. You are my daughter, so you behave like this. So that's actually not true for you because your systems were created by you and by me in order for you to be high functioning. So the systems are, if you didn't go to a job every day, what would you do? If you didn't go to an organization, I'll just use religious organization. Right. So it's the titles. I'm a parent. I'm a Christian. I'm an employee at Frito-Lay. I volunteer at the Urban Chamber. So the systems say, I am in the system, so that is what I do. So if all of those systems were gone, what would you wake up and do? My children are in school. Okay, your children don't go to school anymore. Would you still educate your children? Because school no longer exists. Would you be a safe defensive driver, California Street Rock Trucking 33, if DOT went away and then mandate that drivers have their medical cards and keep their blood pressure under control, hours of service, rules of the road, the 5 keys, the Smith system 5 keys, if y'all still using that, keep a space cushion, leave yourself out, pull through, all of that. Would you use chock blocks on the trailers when you're backed up to the docks? Would you have proper fifth wheel training? Would you do fleet wash and make sure that your trucks when they're on the road look good without external stimuli? That part. Okay. So now you know that you are not actually completely internally personally accountable, because that's what self-regulation is. And that's why you have to say on level 3, this is what I did to hold myself personally accountable. And this is a great time to mention, you don't have to keep putting, oh, I did a good thing with personal accountability. You could say, I pushed the snooze button 7 times a day and I was late as hell to work. That's being personally accountable too. I just didn't fucking feel like going in that motherfucker today. That's personal accountability too, because you're saying I'm personally accountable and responsible for all that I do and I failed to do. I told somebody I was going to come to their event and I didn't go and I didn't call. Keep your word is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So you have to be personally accountable for saying you was going to be there and then not showing up. That's personal accountability too. So in an unaccountable system, it's credit and blame. If it goes well, I'm taking credit. If it doesn't go well, I'm going to blame the system. Well, I was late because it was traffic on the road. It's always traffic on the road. That ain't true. I let you know you left your house 15 minutes late. It was traffic on the road. That's why I'm 15 minutes late. You couldn't figure out what outfit to wear because you wanted to stun on them hoes. That's what actually happened. So when you are self-regulated, no one is forcing me to go live. I've been live for 809 consecutive days. Nope, I heard from Higher Power Universe and God go live on November 4th, 2023, and I've been live ever since. No one said have a structured agenda for your live. No one said come out as a nerd and start teaching about the brain. That's self-regulation. No one said have 12,500 YouTube videos with 140 playlists, post every day across all your social media platforms, give individualized, customized attention to people when they need to understand a process. That's self-regulation. I told y'all on the TikTok live, my house is clean. We don't even have guests at our house, and my house is clean. I still skin brush my skin. Not because I'm like, ooh, babe, touch my skin. Ain't it so soft? No, because exfoliating your skin keeps debris. It helps with your health. So that part, the skin is the biggest organ. So when you are self-regulated, you do it when no one else is watching. You do it because that's who you are. We talked about self-respect on TikTok. That's because I have self-respect for myself. That part. I've taken care of my body because I respect my body. I take care of my brain because I respect my brain. That's self-regulation. I'm not going to just put anything up here and in here just because. That's why it's so important to get the level 5 on YouTube, so you can become self-actualized and self-aware, and you become this superhuman being because you have 86 billion neurons and you possess the neurological ability to be a bad mofo. You do it, and it doesn't matter if anybody else is doing it. It doesn't matter if everybody in your family decides to say dysregulated. That's not you, that's them. Everybody that you know, that's them. That's a comfort choice that they've made to be contained in the system instead of completing the system and moving on from that system. There's no way that I could have stayed in the military for 20 years because I had already done everything that you could do in the military. It was just going to be rinse and repeat at the field grade level and then at the general officer level. And I'm like, this is boring. I'm good. I'm out. I couldn't do anything else at Frito-Lay because no matter what, it was just going to be chips on a truck. Raw materials being turned into finished goods and selling them in the marketplace. Their mission didn't change. It wasn't going to be different. It was still going to be salty snack foods. It's not even a food group. They were always going to have between 67% and 82% market share in any given market. Store brand and regional brands were going to make up the difference in the market share. That's it. In order for the stock price to go up, they was going to have to do some mergers and acquisitions. And now they're into, PepsiCo is into hard liquor to get that stock price up to like 170 something. And it's probably more than that now because people love to drink. But it's the same. I can tell you when I'm in the grocery store, I can hear a Frito-Lay cart coming down the aisle. I still know what those wheels sound like on the cart because I did excellent things. Self-regulation. I didn't have to go there and go above and beyond. I didn't have to tell employees every 4 weeks, hey, you can go and get promoted. If you do this and demonstrate this, you can move and go here. You can get tuition reimbursement for your degree. I didn't have to do that. That wasn't part of the job. I chose to do that because as a leader, I want people to be better than they were when our paths crossed. I want y'all to be better because you come here every day and spend time and space here. I want you to have neurological strength to go be a bad mofo. That's self-regulation. And round 3 is here. So what is one small, clear action today that requires no permission, no validation, and no audience? One small action that you can do. Because self-regulation says I'm doing this for myself. I'm not doing it for the hand claps. I'm not doing it for the praise. I'm not doing it to show a motherfucker. You're not doing that. Can you do it without announcing it? Can you do it? There's plenty of things that I've done that I don't announce. Sometimes when I'm announcing it, I'm using it as an example because lead by example is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. But there are plenty of things that I do at appointments to support my daughter in her business and her clients, and I just do it and move on. And they may notice it, they may not notice it, but it's the right thing to do. Can you do something without announcing it? That's regulation. If you got to announce it, you're looking for praise. Regulation says, I'm doing this because this is who I am, and this is what I do. People will tell me all the time, you don't have to sweep that up. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We're going to put this room back like it was. If we moved in, if I move a plant, if a plant is sitting here and I need to move it because it's in my foot needs space, I'm put that plant right back where it was. All that. Being consistent with how I regulate my time. These systems were designed for regulated brains. Nobody ever taught you how to use your brain. Nobody ever taught you about self-regulation. And now you're in a system that wants you to be regulated in theory, but you just find yourself contained in the system. And your insula knows it. It's sending a message to the ACC where there's conflict. That's why the person that's procrastinating, you don't want to do that shit because it's a conflict. There's a neurological conflict in what you are procrastinating to do. It's a growth opportunity and you don't want to grow because it's going to be too hard, or it's going against who you actually are. That's why everybody don't need to go to college. That's why everybody doesn't need to be an entrepreneur. Some people thrive in being employees and some people don't. But you don't get the opportunity. You go into whatever system your parents told you to go into, or the system that you believed is you're going to be able to function in without being high functioning. And now you're stuck. And that's why people have midlife crises, because they've been in that system long enough to say, this is some bullshit. This ain't going to work. And now you might be looking for a career change, but you 10 years away from retirement. So stay in that system for 10 more years. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of days in a system that doesn't bode well for you neurologically. California Street Rock Trucking said, fasting, clean, and organize my garage. And Jared said, choose excellence because that is your standard. Exactly. So you're not doing what's best for your brain. You're doing what's best for your comfort system. Daily personal accountability is not a personality. It's not a discipline. It's not morality. It's the brain's ability to execute despite discomfort. To execute despite discomfort. And if you can regulate any system, it works. And if you cannot regulate, no system will save you. So when you can self-regulate, you can capitalize off of every system. That's what I was able to do in the military, at Frito-Lay, in small business. And now I'm taking the Coursera system and gathering information from universities that I would actually have to apply to, get in, go and sit in a physical classroom, or go take the class online, be in a cohort with other people. I don't have to do that. I get to attend whatever university I want that has a course that I need in order for me to get that information as quickly as possible and give it to myself and then give it to you. That's the system that I'm capitalizing off of for $49 a month. That part. I would never be able to go to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Johns Hopkins, and now the University of Chicago in the same 6 months, because the bureaucratic system, that information just became available in open source 15 years ago. I would have to apply, wait. No, we don't have that class. Is that class offered this semester? No, you got to wait till the spring. That class is offered next semester. And I don't have neurological time. I don't have the time for that. I need the information now. And I need it for me, for my research, for my work. I'm not trying to get another degree in neuroscience. I need the neuroscience information to work with what I'm actually working with. Monique said, decluttering, organizing, digital storage, checking in on friends. Jared said, although it has become easier, my issue is that the twins fight me every day. And the twins are going to keep fighting you every day until they don't, Jared. One day you're just going to wake up and you're not going to hear from them. It's going to feel like one day, but it's going to be hundreds of days. It took Nola 300 days out of 365-day challenge to start getting notification from her insula that she was feeling. So it is, those twins have been there with you for 50 years. And so they have a role. They have their own structure, their own system, and you are disrupting it. And as I said, the more you continue to do this, the weaker they are. They couldn't stop you from doing 15,000 steps. They can't stop you from reading books. They can't stop you from going to Toastmasters. They can't stop you from finding funding for you to go back to school. So they are less stronger than they were this time last year. They are less stronger. And if schools taught us about our brains, none of us would be having this conversation. We'd be having a whole different, completely wonderful conversation about all the things that we're working on in our lives, because we would be self-regulated automatically. People don't still talk about decorating their house. Everybody knows how to do that already. People not saying, you know what, I put these clothes on today and they stayed on my body. No, because you already know how to do that. No one's like, and I fed myself today. Unless you're recovering from some neurological event, you know how to feed yourself. There are things that we already know how to do. We don't even think about no more. You're going to regulate them. Retype that. I am regulating my emotional center. That's what you are doing. And if you came out, Lazy J was chilling. Lazy J was chilling. So that's who really having a problem. He having a problem. He gave you this doggone comfort ass existence. And now you over there messing with his stilo. You over there fucking with him. He like, you getting up? You want to play? You walking where? What the fuck? Why you ain't, look, you ain't had a honey bun in 7 days. What the fuck is wrong with you? Go get a honey bun. I said, Lazy J wants compliance from you. Lazy J is uncomfortable right now, discomforted, as he should be. He had all them damn years. It's your turn now. So sit down, be humble. That part. So your assignment today is to complete one necessary action without telling anyone. Obviously, you got to post it in the feed, but you're not telling anybody else around you, and without waiting to feel ready. I am going to regulate my limbic system. And how does typing that feel? Jared and California Street Rock Trucking? Yes, you are regulating your emotion centers. That part. So accountability is not public performance, it's private execution. There are things that I just do all the time. Nola don't even know about them. I just do them because that's who I am. That's what I represent. That part. So now we got the brain bit, and then we're going to get out of here. Y'all got y'all 2 questions. If you all have to go, just watch the replay because this is important. So here is to brain. Today's brain bit, the office building brain. I know sometimes y'all like, what in the hell? I was sitting in Office Park and I needed a brain bit. No, listen, I am regulating my limbic system. That is correct. So think of your brain like an office building. Different floors do different jobs. Problems happen when the wrong floor is running the building. So the top floor is the executive suite, and that's the prefrontal cortex. The role is the CEO, planning, decision-making, emotional regulation, and long-term thinking. It feels good, and I have something to look forward to. Yes, sir. So again, the executive suite is the prefrontal cortex. The role is the CEO. You got planning, decision-making, emotional regulation, and long-term thinking. And this is where regulated adults operate at the executive level. So you are a billionaire and you operate at the executive level. You have 86 billion neurons and you use the executive function of your brain. So that makes you $1 billion executive of your brain. Just got promoted this morning. Middle floors, that's the operations and the HR. That's the limbic system. See, they're in the middle. So their role is middle management. That's emotions, empowerment, memory, and social signaling. Thank you, Jared. Me and Chat did a good job. And notice I put the real leader brain got on suit and sneakers. He's on trend. Useful for input, not the final authority. I'm going to say that again. The middle floors is operations and HR, your limbic system. And their role is middle level management. They are there for emotions, empowerment, memory, and social signaling. They are useful for input, but they are not the final decision maker. They ain't got no damn authority. And then in the basement, you got the security and the maintenance. That's the brainstem and the survival circuits. So they are the emergency responders. Fight, flight, freeze, appease, the reflexes, survival reactions. So they are essential in danger, destructive when running daily life. Okay, I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. The people in the basement, the Amy's and the Lalas, they are essential in dangerous situations. They are destructive when they are running your everyday life. That's why you need emotional regulation, because they in the basement. How somebody in the basement going to tell the executives what to do? How that's going to happen? So what's going wrong is the basement is making the decisions. That's their reactive behavior. The basement, the people in the basement is running your brain. The middle floors take over. So now you got emotional leadership. They only supposed to be providing information to the executive function. But they didn't say, oh my God, we got to. And then the executive suite goes offline. So you got poor judgment and poor impulse control. Ain't no inhibition, nothing. So that's why you need the office building brain. So the brain can brain. So a strong brain, information flows up and decisions flow down. Executive suite stays in charge. That prefrontal cortex is regulating everything with that executive function, doing what it does every day, all day long. And a weak ass brain, the noise flows down. The emotions bypass the leadership. So Becky with the good hair is the receptionist for the executive suite. And survival runs the meeting. Bottom line, a regulated brain is not emotionless. It's well managed. So real leadership equals keeping the executive suite online. That is your objective every day, all day. The prefrontal cortex is in charge. Not in the basement. Not the stranger danger people. So you waking up every day looking for a problem, doom scrolling and everything else, and then you making decisions off of emotions. Be objective is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. You can't be objective and subjective at the same time. One side is going to win out. That's why you need emotional regulation. So there's no cortisol. There is no doom scrolling or any of that. The somatic markers are just showing you something. You're not implicitly executing those somatic markers. You are sitting there, and that's why I tell you before I ask you after I ask you a question, think, because you're training that neural pathway. Before I do anything, I stop and pause and give notification to the executive suite. Some information just came in. What we gonna do about that? And then you let HR and them give you the information, and then you make the final decision. Up here, this part, prefrontal cortex. My limbic system was going to cause my brain to go out of bit. There you go, Jared. There you go. That is a great analogy. That is the wrong people are making the decisions. Their job is to alert you of an actual threat and danger. Here comes a real saber-toothed tiger. Here is the actual black ice on the road for y'all on the East Coast. Thank you. That part. And this brain bit came from me sitting in the office complex, taking the trash out. I wasn't sitting, I was like, damn, I need a brain bit. Shit, office building. Here we go. That part. So now you understand it. They got to do their job. Every region of your brain, every neural synaptic connection has a function. And let it function. But the executive suite is where all the decisions are made. That's where the why and the strategy comes from. That's where the working memory is coming from and that's what you use every single day. Your working memory is working dozens, if not hundreds of times an hour for you to function the 16 to 17 hours that you are awake. That's why you learn something every day, so you got updated information. I became Dr. Donna in 2008, 18 years ago. I couldn't just rest on being Dr. Donna. That's not enough. The world didn't change twice in the time that I became Dr. Donna. And Lord knows how many, I'm probably Dr. Donna 75.0 by now, based upon learning and growing and developing. Okay. We got one more graphic for y'all today, and it's the use. Go ahead, going back this way. There we go. That was for TikTok Live. Here we go. What did you learn today, and what did you learn about yourself? Before you answer, you need to type an ellipse, a thinking emoji, a brain emoji, a thinking, a buffering emoji. What did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself today? And these two questions are creating neural pathways to say every day that you wake up, you expect to learn something. And every day that you are here, you are doing self-reflection in your default mode network. And so that's what you have to do to learn about yourself, your actual self, not some structured organization telling you who you supposed to be. You supposed to be you. And your real personality resides in where? Wait for it, the executive function of your brain, prefrontal cortex. I see your statement, Monique. And drink water while you're doing that. I learned today that I must pause more to let my look at mine and look at mine and look at mine. Okay. Okay. PFC do its job. Yes, sir. That 10 seconds, that 10 significant seconds of silence. Nola said, I learned the executive function is the equivalent to the executive suite. Yes, ma'am. Nola also said, I learned about myself. I am effective from real leader systems, not societal systems. That is correct. Jared said, I learned about myself. I will eventually tame Amy and Lala in due time. And you're going to retype that sentence, Jared. I will create emotional regulation in my day-to-day life. I will create emotional regulation in my day-to-day life. Taming Amy and Lala is not neurologically sound. And Monique is thinking. Daisy said, I learned today that I need to be self-regulated because it's a discipline I need to have. Jared, I will create emotional regulation in my life on a daily basis. And see, that should register differently in your brain because it doesn't have a somatic marker and the language is different. So that should create neural clarity for you. And Monique, I will not cut off this time because I see your ellipse, so you will not have to send it to me. And for those of you who need to go again, feel free to do so. We're finished up here. Monique said, I learned about myself. I need to do what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. Also, that I need to reinforce the scaffolding in places where I had no structure because society is changing fast and our brains are falling behind. That is correct. Ariane, and if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I apologize. I'm old as hell, and these new names sometimes trip me up. Emotional regulation, decision making, and discipline. Okay. And is that it for you, Monique? Because I think Jared and Nola. And Daisy, are you still here or are you working? I can come back on camera now. All right. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I will say to you. First of all, thank you for taking the time to assess your own neurological strength as well as your areas for improvement. Daisy said, I learned about myself today that I have the right to be well regulated. Yes, ma'am. Jared said, yes, I still need the twins to work, but not take control. Yes. And thank you, Monique, because again, after I saw your message yesterday, it's like, okay, we got to wait to make sure. And again, that's the other reason for the dots, because if I don't see them, then I won't know that you're answering. If we were all in the same room, obviously I could see you thinking, but that's not the capabilities currently. I'm sure technology will improve and that will be something that can happen in the future as well. So this live came about again because of the person that I used to be friends with and not understanding how 206s raise regular children or average. It made no sense to me. And now I understand. So as you continue to work towards becoming level 5 and a real leader, know that the systems are there for you to complete them, not be contained in them. I'm going to say that again. So you get that. You become very neural clear. You are there to complete the system. So if you think about school, you were there to complete it. And then you're at a job, you're there to complete it and move on to the next growth opportunity and the next growth opportunity and the next growth opportunity, because your working memory needs new information to actually be working. Especially if you're over the age of 35, it's already started deteriorating. And by 65, it's going to be in an old folks' home doing Sudoku and jigsaw puzzles, trying to get it together. I appreciate it. I felt bad yesterday, but service issues. Yes, ma'am. I still read it, as you know. So the point that I'm making is you have an amazing organ in your body, and it's the brain. No one ever taught you how to use it. No one ever taught you that you have 86 billion neurons and you have the neurological capability to become a bad mofo. I'm here to tell you that you can, and you need to do what I'm telling you to do. There is no one else telling you how to use your brain in everyday life for you to be high functioning in everyday life, not to just be functioning so you can just get through the end of the day in these structured ass organizations, but for you to excel and grow continually, because that's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. That is why you're doing this work for you. I appreciate you being here because you had options this morning and you opted to come here and do something for your brain, which allows me to plant trees for shade for which I will never sit. It allows you to become neurologically strong, use the executive function, the executive suite of your brain to make a difference where you are, to then pay it forward to teach other adults how their brain functions so that they can be high functioning. So we could put an end to all of this dysregulation that we all experience on a day-to-day basis and see what's possible when we have almost 6 billion adults waking up every day being regulated with a strong prefrontal cortex. That part. Because I don't know what it would look like if 100 million people had strong prefrontal cortexes. I have no idea if everywhere we went, everything felt like this and it was high functioning. And you could actually have a conversation like my daughter and I had about what was taking place in her brain when she was working on something. Because people have no problem saying, damn, my back hurt. Ooh, I hit my knee. It's going to leave a bruise. But what if you said, you know what? My insula gave me an alert this morning from an old somatic marker I had, and I recoded it. And I don't have that. That pattern recognition showed up, and I got that alert. And Miss Brenda Jones said, baby, no. And Uncle Vinny said, Amy and Lala, sit down, be humble. Because that's what it's going to take. People having conversations about what's taking place up here, because we can't see our brain. Unless we get an FNERS or fMRI, we cannot see it lighting up. We can't touch it every day. The closest we can do is touch the skull. That's it. But it's there making all of this possible and everything else. And we have to start having conversations about it. People be like, ooh, my liver. Got to get a liver transplant. My heart. Had to take my blood pressure. But we don't have a portable FNERS. We can't put it on and go, dang, what's my prefrontal cortex strength today? We don't have a power plug to say, wait a minute, my prefrontal cortex is on 30%. Fucking Amy and Lala is at 70% today. What in the hell? We don't have that. All we have is each other right now. I'm sure if enough people start strengthening their prefrontal cortex, that technology can be a reality. But for now, everybody is just contained in their system. And that's not enough anymore. We have been contained in systems for hundreds of millions of years, and that's no braino. So someone has to say, look, we can't do that no more. And I am the Goji and Kahal of 2020s and beyond. Somebody has to sit back and say, this is not working. And this wasn't possible for me 15, 20 years ago, but it is possible now, thank you to the internet and all these other things. And now you as a human being walking the face of the planet Earth have to do something. You can't unsee me. You can't unknow what I'm talking about. California Street Rock. Can you please give me a name? because I'm not going to keep saying California Street Rock Trucking 33 if you plan on coming back. That's long. And I understand why you're doing it, but I'm going to need something else. You know, I mean, yeah, please. I am live every day on YouTube at 5:30 a.m. If you'd like to see previous lives, just go to my channel and you will see the previous lives buttons. Couple disclaimers. I curse a lot if need be. I go ham and burger on trolls should my insula tell me that it's time to do that. So if any of that is alarming to you, then this will not be the platform for you. I keep it 100. I keep it $1, but you're going to learn a lot. That part. That part. Okay, so your brain is the most beautiful organ in your body. It is the most powerful organ. And what I learned is that neurons are the shiz naive, hence my t-shirt. You have a neuron. If you got to go, okay, I'm good. But I got to say this. You got a neuron. That's a neuron. I'm going to say that again, a neuron. A motor neuron. You only got 100,000 of them. If you lose them, that's when you start losing mobility to talk and do all this. You got a neuron that starts at your big toe and ends back here. That one neuron, one motor neuron. It starts, and I made it a brain bit the other day. You got one neuron that starts at your big toe and comes all the way back here. Neurons are bad motherfuckers. That part. That part. You said what? 86 billion of them, but the longest one. That's a long ass neuron. So you can do all your motor movements and stuff. They are amazing. You have this amazing, amazing organ in your body, and it's time for you to learn how it functions. It's time for you to be responsible for the central processing unit in your amazing body. It's time for you to program it how you want to program it. It's time for you to get some antivirus and get rid of all that dysregulated ass somatic marker social conformity theory bullshit. Move that shit out the way so you can have a cortisol-free brain so you can be neuro clear every single day. Your life can feel like this live every single day. It can when you do the work and then you hold everybody around you personally accountable to do the work too, or exit stage left. Either way, become dysregulated free. That's the best place to be. That's because you heard it from me, Dr. D. That was for you, Jared, because I've been working on my rhyming. I think I got my timing. I'm shining bright like a diamond. Don't blame me because you ain't shining. All right. I'm out here grinding. Okay. It's working. And I didn't have to do it by twerking. Okay. See, it's better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. God willing, higher power in the universe. I will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt. You all go off and have a braintastic day. Take care. Adios.